The Iraqi government has objected, and what is your position on this?
Okay, so thanks for the question. As we've said before, the Mosul operation will be Iraqi-led. The coalition continues to work closely with the government of Iraq on all aspects of the operation. That includes military, humanitarian, stabilization, and governance after ISIL is driven from the city. All of Iraq's neighbors need to respect Iraqi sovereignty and territorial integrity. That is the premise that the global coalition to fight ISIL operates under in Iraq, and we expect all of our partners to do the same. You know, I note that Turkey is a key member of the counter-ISIL coalition. We'll continue to work with them, and we'll coordinate with them as they also seek to achieve their national security goals.
Can I follow up on Mosul?
Okay,
Very quickly.
And then we'll go to you, Leslie.
The United Nations mission in Iraq, an army, is warning that of a looming human disaster as a result of the liberation of Mosul. Are you prepared in any way? What kind of prepositioning or anything like this to deal with the situation?
So, we've been taking a look at this for quite some time, and as you know, we've spoken about this from the podium. We're in very close touch, not only with the UN, but also Iraqi authorities as we take a look on this. Anywhere in operations like this, the protection and the care of civilians is our #1 priority, and also ensuring that when they do return to their homes, that they're supported there. Leslie.
Right, I want to come back to Russia. Putin today suspended a treaty with Washington on cleaning up the weapons-grade plutonium. Did this maybe have anything to do with the decision to suspend talks?
I would not link those at all.
Not at all?
I would not, but I do have a comment on it.
Okay.
We regret Russia's decision to suspend this agreement unilaterally. The United States remains committed to the agreement. We believe it's in the best interest of both the United States and Russia. It's part of our efforts to secure nuclear materials and combat nuclear terrorism. I would note this is the latest in a series of steps by Russia to end long-standing cooperation on nuclear security and disarmament, including its decision to not participate in the 2016 Nuclear Security Summit and its unwillingness to continue strategic arms control reductions. We'd also note it's disingenuous of Russia to cite the United States' threat to strategic stability as a reason for this decision. The United States seeks a constructive dialogue with Russia on strategic issues, but it is Russia instead who continues to engage in destabilizing activities and to suspend cooperation under existing agreements like this one that benefit international security.
So if you're not linking
Hold on one second.
If you're not linking both, because Moscow specifically said today that it was a series, it was done in a response to unfriendly acts by Washington.
Yeah, you're going to have to ask. You're going to have to ask the Russians for their decision. We believe it would be a shame if this important agreement was put aside because of an unrelated issue.
Would you say that this is the lowest point in U.S.-Russian relations?
I'm not going to characterize it
How would
as
you
that.
characterize it? Because
What I would
tension
say
is high, rhetoric about nuclear armament and so on. Differences in Ukraine, over Syria, almost everywhere. Would you say that this is really a very low point in U.S.-Russian relations?
I think what you see is that in areas where we have commonalities, areas where we can work with Russia, we continue to do so. We've had conversations. The Iran deal is a perfect example on that. DPRK, issues like that. However, we do have sharp differences with Russia, certainly on Syria, on Ukraine, on this issue right now. Where we can work with Russia to benefit the international community and also to increase our own national security, though, we will continue to do so. Okay, wait, are we still on Russia?
Russia.
Okay, let's do Russia.
Are you aware of the arrest of Ukrainian journalist in Moscow 3 days ago when he had a private visit to his close relatives?
Yeah, so I have seen those reports being detained in Moscow. Obviously, we're monitoring the situation. I don't have a lot of detail on more of that. I'd actually refer you to the Ukrainian government. Okay. Are we done with Russia? One more.
There's a report on Radio Free Europe that 2 U.S. diplomats were drugged in St. Petersburg at a conference last year.
I am aware of those reports.
One of them was hospitalized, apparently. Was this an act of provocation by the Russian services?
So what I would say is what we've said before. on incidents like this. I'm not going to speak to the specific of the various incidents that have occurred, but I can say is that we are troubled, we remain troubled by the way our diplomatic and consular staff have been treated over the past 2 years. We have raised our concerns at the highest levels. In particular, the harassment and surveillance of our diplomatic personnel in Moscow by security personnel and traffic police has increased significantly. As we've said before, we find this unacceptable.
And with this particular incident, you're not confirming it?
No, I'm not going to
But you're
speak
not
to
denying
this.
it either.
I will not speak to this particular incident. Asia. Okay, are we done with Russia? Let's go to Asia. Hello, Tejinder.
So, with respect to that surgical strike, Pakistani Lieutenant General Bajwa, the Director General of the Inter-Services Public Relations, he took journalists from various outlets and to the LOC, the line of control, in Boxer Foundation, Hot Spring Formation, and showed them that, look, there's no devastation. There's so, and then India is saying there was a surge. What is your position on this?
So our position is what it was last week. We're not going to speak to specific reports of incidents along the border. We urge calm and restraint on both sides. We understand, as we said last week, that the militaries are in touch. We believe that that continued communication is vital to reduce these tensions.
So, do you confirm it happened or it didn't happen?
No, as I said, I'm not going to speak to any reports of these incidents. One second.
And it's another one is about the. You have any comments on the Paris Agreement, which Indian lawmakers have given a nod and they have technically submitted the instrument to the UN?
Yeah, we welcome this. This is fantastic news. India, like many countries, has been working to complete its domestic process as quickly as possible. We are very encouraged. We care about strong climate action, and the Paris Agreement has been a matter of personal commitment and leadership for both President Obama and Prime Minister Modi. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. We have heard from this podium that United States is engaged with the leadership of both the countries, Pakistan and India. So what is the core issue is being discussed in those discussions, in those engagements?
Well, I think what you would take a look at being discussed is regional stability and regional security. One of the things I think we all need to focus on is conflicts or issues or rising tension are not contained to any specific region. We are in favor of any reduction of tensions that both sides agree to in this particular instance. We have strong ties with both Pakistan and India, and we'll engage on that basis.
Both the militaries are on high alert, and there is a threat of, obviously there is a threat of nuclear war in that region. And the main reason of this threat is the Kashmir issue. So is there any kind of discussion with India for the solution of this international matter as it poses a real threat to that region, a threat of nuclear war?
What I would say is that our position on Kashmir has not changed. And I would remind you that we're having conversations with both on the importance of reducing the tensions in the region. Saeed?
The questions on the Palestinian-Israeli issue?
We'll do this and then we'll go to you, Leslie. Go ahead.
Very quickly, Israel announced plans to expand the settlement of Amona, apparently an outpost, to all sides. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. We are deeply concerned by the reports of the government of Israel's decision to advance plans for settlement units. We're still gathering information, but as we continue to make clear, as we have repeatedly made clear, we oppose steps like this, which we believe are counterproductive to the cause of peace.
Also, last week, the Israelis forced Palestinian families to demolish their own homes in Jerusalem to avoid, the heavy fines and so on that come along with the government demolishing them. Do you have any position on that?
It's exactly what we've said when these issues have come up before. What we call on all sides is to reduce the tensions, to create the environment that can advance these dialogues and promote peace.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie.
And, I can't.
I'm sorry, one more.
I'm just tempted to ask now that the Secretary will not be so consumed by the Syria issue on a daily basis with his counterpart, Mr. Lavrov. Will he have more time for the
Well,
Palestinian
I would
peace
dispute
process?
both sides of that question. Okay, one is that the secretary remains ceased with Syria. You know, this is a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions, and so I would not say that he's reducing
I'm
his
sorry.
interest, but I would also say that the secretary has never lost sight of the importance of the Middle East peace process. He remains deeply committed. He will continue to pursue that.
And I'm not making light of the serious
No,
situation
of
by
course.
any means. I'm saying that it has taken a great deal of energy in the last few months on the international level. I'm saying that in the remaining months of this administration, are we likely to see an energized or maybe renewed effort in that direction?
I would say that Secretary Kerry never stopped pursuing it.
So to the Philippines,
Yep.
the Duterte this at the weekend said he had complained to Russia and China about the United States. Do you have any comment on that?
I
first
do
of all?
not.
It's not really the complaint that everybody's looking at. This is the escalation of tensions with an ally in the region. How does the U.S. basically view this escalation of tensions? Are there discussions going on directly with them? Is there any kind of discussion underway of maybe withdrawing aid from that, or suspending or withdrawing any kind of military cooperation that the U.S. recently agreed with the Philippines?
So a few things, because there's a lot of questions in there. What I would say first off the bat is we're very focused on our broad and deep and, frankly, historic partnership, in fact, alliance with the Philippines. You know, we have a scope of relationship that spans all of the gamuts: diplomatic, military, certainly people to people. You know, the cultural ties that our two peoples have are deep and broad. So we're very focused on that, and we're very focused on the relationship. You know, our partnership with the Philippines has been a cornerstone of stability for over 70 years. You know, the Filipino people are some of our best friends, our allies, and that's what our relationship is built on. In terms of individual comments, you know, I'm not going to get into a position. I think we addressed this last week, you know, where we're going to address every comment that's made, because our focus is on the underlying relationship.
So that the strength of that relationship was obviously before Duterte came in.
I think it continues now, Leslie.
So are you saying that what he's saying is just
I would
speak
refer
or-
you to the presidency of the Philippines to speak specifically to that. You know, what I would note is we've not been officially contacted by the Philippine Defense Department authorities regarding President Duterte's statement. I'd also note that we'll live up to our commitments, and we expect them to live up to theirs.
But how can you continue to have a relationship with someone like this who speaks ill of the United States so publicly, demeans the president?
Because I
and-
think what you do is you look at the breadth of relationship. You look at our long-term partnership and, in fact, friendship with the Philippines, and that's where our focus is.
But surely it can't be business as usual between the two of you when he acts like this. I mean,
We've spoken
has
about
this
it
in
before.
any way
you know?
changed?
I mean, Mark
relationship.
talked about this yesterday. I think, you know, more importantly,
No,
President.
yesterday was
I'm
Sunday.
sorry, it feels like yesterday. You know, President Obama addressed some of this. You know, where we're really focused, as I've said, is our partnership. Okay, are we still in the Philippines?
I'd like to go to Gambia.
Okay, we're all over. So why don't we do the Gambia?
Is it true that you have banned visas for all Gambian government employees and people from certain groups related to the government, such as political parties? And is this in response to Gambia's refusal to accept 2,000 deportees?
So what you're talking about is recalcitrance. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit about this because this is a very detailed and technical thing. So again, bear with me. As of October 1st, 2016, the United States and Banjul, the Gambia, has discontinued visa issuance to employees of the Gambian government, employees of certain entities associated with the government, and their spouses and children, with limited exceptions. Under Section 243D of the Immigration and Nationality Act, when so requested by the Secretary of Homeland Security, due